jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, subscribe.
Shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game. A-side official. No negotiation needed, period. You already know. The first in the building, Mr. Gumbo, a.k.a. Hot Grease, is on deck. Salute WCS, my big bro. Let's go, Hot Grease. Yes, sir. Let's get it, man. And big shout out to the fathers out there. We deserve more than just one day of recognition, just like we say for the mothers. But this is our day. And I'm going to be honest with you. On Mother's Day, you couldn't find no reservations leading up. Father's Day, you can walk in that motherfucker. How, sir? Hey, sir, how you doing? How may we help you? Party of 6. Oh, sure, come this way. So I didn't need no reservation? No, we got plenty of space. We got plenty of space. What are you talking about? You're so hilarious. Shout out to the News by Shot News Sauce Experience in the building. What's good with a Team Tucker official on deck? Hot Grease Tank Davis does what he do. Steps on another nobody because that's what Frank promoter said. He's not fighting nobody. And we're going to get to it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get to it. Shout out to Mike in the building. Salute to your brother. I see you. Shout out to Big Blunts and Boxing in the building. What's good with the Blunts? Happy Father's Day, fellas. Salute to you. I see you on deck. Carlos Rosado in the building. WCS salute to you. I see you on deck there, Carlos. WCS, happy Father's Day to you and all the dads in the chat, no doubt. Let's give it up to all the fathers that is in the chat and global. You know what I'm saying? And global. All the fathers that handling their responsibilities. They hold a position. They have reproduced. That means you have given or supplied your seed. And your seed has turned into life. You know what I'm saying? Salute to y'all. Well, I feel bad for Frank. Tank didn't have to do that to him last night. What he didn't have to do and what was actually imminent is two different things. We already know it was imminent. It was imminent, Carlos, that Frank was going to run out of gas. It was imminent that he was going to sleep last night. He was going to sleep, night. That's what happened. When I lay my glove at best, I have to say I did everything I could before he put me to rest. I went in there with all the attempt to give it my all, but that wasn't enough. That man got stretched. That man got stretched. Shout out to Mr. International Toby Bartlett on deck. And salute to the fathers across the pond and across the world. You already know. Salute WCS and the hottest channel in the YTC. We're global, baby. We're global. Yes, sir. You already know what it is. I wouldn't call it deplorable. I would call it punctual. I would call it punctual. And I would call it punctual. That knockout was coming there, Carlos. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be clear. It was only so long that he could run. Now, Canelo, we already knew Canelo was going to let Charlo just run around the ring, maybe get one knockdown. But the difference between Canelo and Tank, if Tank knocks you down one time, most of the human, I'm talking about the human entities that was across the ring from him, they don't get up and be able to run the rest of the fight. You know, Tank changes your whole dynamic. You know what I'm saying? If you get up from one of his knockdowns, it's more than likely you're going to go down there again. You know what I'm saying? It's more than likely you're going to revisit the canvas once more. Canelo be at this point in time be touching guys and they knock down, they make the count, then they go on a running. You know, they go on a freaking marathon all the way to the final bell. So let's talk about what happened. As you see in the thumbnail, you see for yourself. Gervonta Tank Davis improved to 30 victories, opposite 0 defeats. And he improved his knockout percentage once again by dispersing. Hold on for a second, y'all. Hold on for a second. I'm back, people. My bad. You know, people still calling for Father's Day. My bad. Um, his uppercut come out of nowhere with so much force. Tank was out. Frank was out from that when he ended with that left hand. So let's get down to the state of affairs. All right, which turned into another emergency event at the boxing footprint over there in Vegas at the MGM Grand. Tank, improves his record. You know what I'm saying? Another win, remains undefeated. Now, what we thought about Frank leading into this fight. Yeah, he had the Jackson Marinez. Jackson Marinez was pretty much riding off the parachute of his fight with Rolly Romero, which a lot of people, including myself, thought he won that fight. So he took that win aided freaking momentum, and he went into the Frank Martin fight because we all know Rolly Romero lost that fight with Jax Mariñez, but Frank Martin went and finished him, I think, in the 11th round. So, Frank was in the process of building himself up, and then he had some fight. Um, he was in the building stages. You know, they was trying to see, where he was gonna go. So I would say that Frank tried. You know what I'm saying? He really put on a clinic, so to speak, for the level of fighter that he was fighting. Both fighters, in my opinion, was on the same level. Frank came out on top with his movement and his combinations and all that, and he got the win over Michel Rivera easily. I think Rivera underestimated Frank at that moment. But moving forward, still nobody to freaking jump for joy. No one on Frank's record for, to dance to until the chaos started to erupt. You know what I'm saying? The chaos started to erupt when he pulled out a Shakur fight. And when he pulled out, man, I ain't gonna lie, man, it's a lot of people was on Frank's neck. Um, you know, and they were saying that he ducked Shakur Stevenson because he wanted a little bit more So, when he jumped into the Gervonta Davis fight, I really don't care about the numbers. Every now and then I'll talk about it, but it just seems like he was motivated to get the Tank fight. I put it out there. I thought it was a dumb move for him because we had Lomachenko and George Cambozo to fight for the vacant IBF. I was like, why wouldn't Frank Martin be included in that? Why couldn't Frank fight a George Cambozo? You know what I'm saying? Why couldn't he fight a Vasily Lomachenko? That's that would have been a better fight for me than Tank. Real talk, because at least we've seen Vasily go in there with some names at the lightweight division. Most recently, Devin Haney or whatever, and he's been in there with a Teofimo Lopez, who was formerly 135. But heading to this Tank fight, we kind of knew that it was only a matter of time. That time, we live off time. Time is the worst way to for reality to hit you in all different areas. Like Frank leading up to this fight with Gervonta, he said he was going to take it to the ceiling. And what did I tell y'all about the ceiling? You bounce your ass off the ceiling, you going right back to the floor. He chose Tank Davis, man. You know what I'm saying? Somehow, some way, Man Down Promotions seemed like they wanted their man to go down. I don't know. Or they felt that it was time for Frank to step up. Both of them 29 years of age. They both started boxing at different times. They talk about 2017. Tank was already freaking champion, and Frank wasn't even boxing yet. In the professional ranks. That's on record. But leading up to this fight, I told you all, in order for these fighters to understand that whether they're an asset or they're expendable, it goes down all about how you being moved. I would have rather him fight Shakur Stevenson than Gervonta Davis, because both of them have around the same type of power. I would say that it would have been a better matchup to me that he fought Shakur Stevenson. I have to blame EJ or whoever was gassing him. I have to blame them for the choices they made to tell Frank to pull out the damn Shakur Stevenson fight. Real talk. He should have fought Shakur Stevenson rather than Tank. In my opinion, he should have, because at least the threat isn't there of what he experienced last night. We always knew the threat level was always there for Tank. We already knew the stalking. You know what I'm saying? It's no TRO for Tank. When he stalks you, you can't get a temporary restraining order. You know what I'm saying? You can't get a permanent restraining order. You can't file none of that paperwork when he's stalking you. And most of the time when Tank is stalking you, he's gonna get to you one way or the other, and it's gonna be an all-out assault. That shit is gonna be domestic, foreign. It's gonna be all that above. And when he started, just using the high guard on Frank, I said, here we go. We seen Frank had a hard weight cut. We seen him looking like the only black Skeletor I ever seen. He was up there looking like black Skeletor with a dab of freaking Mr. T, and before the weigh-in, and he goes in there, he makes weight, and then he rehydrates, right? And his face fills back up. He looks good. They put the Vaseline on him. I saw him do the interview with Jim Gray. I said, okay, Frank looked like his tempo is back up, like his energy and mood is where it's supposed to be. But then he gets in there and Tank is just using the high guard. He's not even really throwing punches. And he has Frank on the back foot. I mean, on the back foot, like you're on a tricycle in reverse going down a steep hill. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Frank was goddamn backpedaling, using side to side movement. I say, damn, his legs are gonna be toast, man. He's done. It don't matter if he filled up with premium gas or not. He's gonna be running on fumes soon. And sure enough, when I seen him start the park bench on the ropes, I said, here it is. This is a telltale sign that Frank Martin is slowing up already. Shout out to Martin King Boxing. AKA Martin King Boxing. Appreciate the damn support. He said Cabbage Patch Kid Davis on the quest. Yeah, he is, man. Yeah, he is for sure. Shout out to MKB for always supporting the channel. Salute to you, brother. One love. Appreciate you. Now, the only connection we had as boxing fans leading up to this fight was that this was one of Errol Spence's only fighters. And then we had the dilemma on who was going to train Frank. Come to find out, Derek James was going to train him. Now, I have to say, early on, Frank Martin looked good. But it was one of those snapshots that you're taking and you're saying, he looks really good, he looks good, but you know what I'm saying? He looks good, but I can see if he was looking good and we can see, him breaking down Tank Davis. You know what I'm saying? Slowly but surely degrading Tank Davis movement. That would have been good. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, and we can say, okay, good, that's good freaking movement, that's good work, that's good damage that's going on, that's good. No. Frank was looking good for the show, but we all knew that he only looked good up to a certain point until Tank Davis started to get active. And it got to a point where unfortunately, when we heard Crawford, someone told Crawford he was down on the unofficial scorecards. Timothy Bradley told him that. Well, Calvin Ford told Gervonta Davis, we need the rest of these rounds. And Tank hopped off the motherfucking stool and he started hunting. Before he was stalking. He was just stalking because he just wanted to wear Frank down. Frank did have some damn good sharp defense. He avoided some of those left hands and those hooks on the inside and those uppercuts. I say he looks sharp, man. That's usually the way it is when you start class, right? But when he got on the back end and his trainer, Calvin Ford, told him that we need the rest of these rounds, that's when Tank hopped off the stool and started then walking in with his hands down. And at that point, Frank said, oh shit, he out the high guard. Now, his intent has changed. Now he's going for, off with the head. He's going for the kill. He's going for straight up destruction. He's going in there to get him up out of there. And I thought Frank would have had a little bit more in those legs of his. Like, I just thought he would have had a little bit more. Like, this dude is super ripped. How are you super ripped? Is it just anaerobic exercise you was doing preparing for Tank, or were you out there pushing pavement? We seen Tank miss the grand arrivals, and he was out in the residential area running. And people was mad at him tomorrow. Oh, he out there, he running. He gonna have a problem missing weight. Listen, to the team of Tank Davis, I'm not gonna lie. Whatever he has going on in his headspace, like, dude may have, been acting, with a higher percentage of fun. I'm just gonna say fun. He was having a bit more fun than usual. He had a better spirit. Yes, he was extremely talkative, but what are you supposed to do? You either do what Tank is doing, or you do what Devin was doing. Tank wasn't like this when he was going in there with the first Ryan Garcia, when he fought Ryan Garcia. He wasn't, acting this way at a lot of other his fights. He was quiet. But now that he went in this fight with Frank, and he was so high spirited, man. You know what I'm saying? He was full of energy. And this is the person who lost his belts at 130 on the scale. So now at 135, this man is doing backflips on stage. He's walking Frank down without even really throwing punches. And the good thing about Frank, he was able to put away a lot of those rounds on the first half of the championship showcase. But when his coach told him we need the rest of these rounds, that was just like giving Tank, reading off, say, hey, we need for you to serve this warrant there, Tank. This warrant is for Frank Martin. Dead or alive. You ready? Sure. I'll bring him back. No problem. Okay. They served that warrant on Frank Martin. And shit got different quick, didn't it? He started landing some shots on Frank. And Frank was using that poker face. He already admitted that the body shots was, getting to him a little bit. But Tank started picking up the pace, man, the tempo. That man got some very quick reaction times. Like, his reflexes, his fast twitch fibers are incredible. I mean, because the ooh and the ahs of the crowd every time he got off on Frank, you would think from the oohs and the ahs that Frank would have already been knocked out. But Tank was landing some good, solid, hard shots on Frank. Can only last so long, to the point where we start to see it. You know what I'm saying? As fans, we start to see you slowing down. We start to see that it's hurting you on the inside. To see you not be as willing and able to engage Tank like you was in the early rounds. And when he finally parked up against that damn corner, and I saw his hands down, I say, this nigga has gotten so tired from Tank landing those hard shots that, people was oohing and on about, but didn't really get a reaction out of Frank. Now he was at a point where Tank started to go into his bag. All the traps he was setting. Now he had him just like he had Leo Santa Cruz, confused. Now it wasn't just the tempo that Frank was worried about. It was just, what was he going to do next? It was the question marks. When fatigue set in, man, shit get cloudy, bro. You like, You know, you're trying to find out. You're trying to do all this mathematical equations and shit. You know, you're trying to see how the wind is blowing, what AC unit is blowing harder than the rest. You know, what side is still stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, Frank had to be told that he need to move to his left instead of his right. You know it's bad when you're moving in range of your opponent's power hand. You know what I'm saying? He had to be reminded, hey, man, you need to move to your left, dude. You're moving the tank's left. You know what I'm saying? You need to be moving to your left, bro. What are you doing? I mean, you need to be moving to Tank's right. But with Tank Davis, you know, it don't matter if you move to his left or right, man. He's setting some type of trap. And when he landed, when he went underneath and hit Frank on that big ass head of his, he went up under Frank's right hand when he was posted up against the ropes. It just stood him up. It froze him up, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like looking at some of these goats. You know how them goats just freeze up and they drop to the ground? That's how Frank Martin looked. Frank Martin looked like he's seen a ghost. You know, he felt something, but his body just froze up. He felt something. He never seen it. He felt it, but he never seen it. And at the time of him trying to find out exactly what's going on with his body, that killer, El CHECKA, came over the top with that left hand. Oh my God, walk off knockout. And then he did him like Iverson did Lou. He stepped over him when Frank was asleep next to the bottom rope, just stepped over him and went over to the damn other corner to prepare himself to backflip off that bitch. Damn. God damn, boy. I can't say Texas is taking a hit. I can't say it, but, you know, the world-class furniture store is taking a hit. Seriously, bro. Real talk, man. From Spence to Ryan Garcia to Frank Martin. I mean, somebody may need to do an inspection over there. Maybe it's not up to code. Maybe there's some fumes in the air over there from that furniture cleaner that the fighters may have some freaking respiratory infections or something. It's something that's going on over there, bro. Because these guys are leaving Texas and they're going over there to fight on the big stage, and they always having problems with cutting weight. What is going on, man? What are the terms? What's going on with the policies and procedures? What are y'all reading? Are y'all just going on off a pamphlet? Say this is what you need to do at this point right here. You need to weigh this, no, and then this. You need to make sure you only consuming this amount of calories right here in protein and this, that, and the other. If you follow this manual, it should get you right around the area that you need to be in heading to that fight. Okay. All right. I mean, are they just going off a pamphlet? Because I can't understand how they leave Texas and they always have issues where they struggling. Frank comes in there and damn near, you know, his cheekbone looked like a whole nother part of his freaking face. You know what I'm saying? He's looking like the Texas Elephant Man. You know, you're trying to say to yourself, damn, should I get a motherfucking a hammer, a chisel? Should we chisel that off so it won't really, you know, so it won't give no signs, no hints to Tank? Like, hey, there go his cheekbones right there. You see it? I mean, should we just goddamn chip this off before we go into the ring? This shit is crazy, man. I would say this about Frank. Frank did not show that he was a hoe. He did run a lot. He did have that Charlo spirit in him. You know what I'm saying? He did have that Charlo spirit. He was in there full speed. He was moving and moving and moving and moving and moving and moving and moving until the gas started to run low. Them shots that everybody was oohing and all about started to take their goddamn, um, you know, I don't know. I guess Tank does it so quickly to those who's tuned in remotely, just looking at the television. Of course, you don't get the full effect the way it sounded on the inside. I mean, when you actually dared to fight. I say that because when I was there doing COVID, when he fought Leo Santa Cruz, I heard him when he landed that freaking uppercut. I heard Leo hit the canvas. It's different. The effect is different. Seriously. Let me get to this chat. The post fight in ring interview had me laughing. The way they showed Frank the KO in his face and then he walked off. Hey, that's one of the areas that you just have to, you have to digest, Carlos. It's a part of you right now. It was nothing Frank can do about it. It's a part of his history now. He went in there and and look, they smell the end of the freaking 12 round. They do. They smell it. They see this. Oh, I'm almost there. God, I'm almost there. Just like Spence. Spence made it to the ninth, but Crawford could have got him out of the way earlier. But he's heading up into near the championship rounds. And that's when it all shut down. That's when it was over. They smelt it. They seen it. You know what I'm saying? They had that foggy visual. Okay, that's it right there on the horizon. I see it. I see it right there. And then shit get dark. Am I the only one not hearing WCS? He was looking up at the ceiling, man down. Man, he was looking up at the ceiling, and that shit was bad. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. That right there, y'all. I mean, it looks so bad because you see Harvey Dock trying to semi escort Tank to the neutral corner and say, hey, go. And then you have Tank with his head cocked to the side. His glove is up in the air. His eyes are closed. It's over. This was absolutely a great shot. Another one for the archives for Tank Davis. This is another one. And they're not going to be able to get over with it. See, Ryan Garcia's didn't look as bad because Ryan took a knee, stood up, and walked back. You know, he got a TKO. But this right here, this goes down as a knockout. Period. This man is unconscious. This was a bad knockout. That second shot that hit Frank in the right side of his goddamn jawline, he never seen it coming. Just like he never seen the first one come from underneath, and then when he threw the second one over the top. Vicious. Absolutely vicious, bro. Tank always picking up. The jig is up. Tank always picking, but the jig is up. I see what Devin did to him in sparring now. Look. Let's say this, Martin King, right? Okay, what you just saying? Floyd is continuing to be him. He want to release sparring footage, just like he released on Devin, right? So Floyd is on this quest of releasing sparring footage. And I don't feel no type of way about releasing sparring footage because I'm so sick and tired of walking into these gyms, right? And they want to pick and choose when they want you to record. But yet you have high points like this where future world champions or current world champion, whatever, they're sparring. And just so happen, this particular guy gets the best. Okay. I totally understand that sparring has its own space. You know what I'm saying? It has its own stage, and then the bright lights in Vegas or NYC or whatever the case may be, they have their own lights. The crowd noise is different. And then when you get on the bigger stage, the numbers of those that's in attendance and the entire space, man. The grandiose moment is much different than just sparring in the gym. I seen Tank, take some shots when he was sparred for 2 days. I seen him. You know what I'm saying? I also seen him give some shots. But some of the stuff that Tank was doing, I haven't seen him do in the ring yet. So if Floyd want to release sparring of him and Devin, right? How a Martin King, how are you supposed to co-sign or show favor to that when he absolutely showed sparring of Ryan Garcia and that same guy that he's putting up that was sparring Tank? Like, whose side is he on? Is he just doing that just so his name can get a little bit of buzz and pissing people off because Tank was up here, showing absolutely no respect for Floyd? Calvin Davis said, "Hey, when have you seen him? Back then he didn't used to say anything." And then he said that's because Floyd was talking too much. You know what I'm saying? So if he 3 point something pounds, they're not gonna make you lose the weight. They're not gonna back up out of the fight because they want to check and all this other stuff. Hey, that's what we seen, right? So if he coming out with Tank high moment, now Tank is getting all the love from his knockout of Frank, even though Shaw News does have a point. Shaw News says that Frank was a nobody. We can say that that's partially correct. Why? Because Frank haven't defeated, or he hasn't been on this in the winning circle with anybody to the level of Tank. This was his step out. Was time that he step out to show out, and he didn't get it done. So he's right back where he was before he stepped in there with Tank. You know what I'm saying? He has to prove that he can step in there with bigger names. That was only his first loss. He's 18-1, but he has to prove that he's better than average. So yes, Tank did get another stunning, malicious knockout. But when it comes down to the accolades and the resume, he really was trying to get to that point where, I can be taken serious, and he got put to sleep. He did make it further than Ryan Garcia. He made it further than Roller Romero. But if you look at Ryan Garcia and Roller Romero, were they in a higher place on the ladder when it comes to, respecting the sport of boxing or the rankings as far as their resume? We could say Ryan Garcia was a little bit ahead of Frank. What about Rolly? No, Rolly was gifted. Frank haven't got to the point where he was in the good graces to be gifted. Rolly beat Jackson Mariñez in Connecticut, a robbery. And then we saw him in there against Ismael Barroso, and Tony Weeks stopped the fight out of nowhere. But Frank, he was at a point where his win over Jackson Mariñez was legit. His win over Machera Rivera was legit. But he never had no opponent that was even close to what Tank Davis is. Nowhere even close, man. Tank Davis did him dirty. He on highlight tape now. Shaking my head. Yeah, he on the highlight. The memes are everywhere. It gets to a point where this is gonna be up there for quite some time. He has to understand that it's gonna be up there for quite some time. It's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Cabbage Patch Kid better stop ducking Shakur, because Devin Haney had Tank wanting to quit. Well, look, I could tell you like this, right? when he came down here to spar Norman Jr., he was the first one to take off the headgear. But like I said before, NKB, like, it's easy for them to release sparring footage. But when you talk about professional careers, what holds more value when it comes to the stock exchange? Are people going to look at how you performed in sparring or how you perform under bright lights? And then also we have to look at it like this, MKB. Do they give checks out in sparring? Last time I checked, it wasn't no checks in the millions being handed out for sparring. Now, if Turk Al-Sheikh can make that happen, where you can have fighters coming in and they have a sparring freaking tournament, then maybe the conversation can change a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can change if they're giving out checks. But when you under the bright lights, that's what's recorded on your boxing ledger. That's what's registered. They put the information criteria and all the highlights right here. Now, what I don't like, to be honest, about this whole deal, Frank was stopped in the 8th and Errol was stopped in the 9th. But this is what I don't like. You're going to see this Frank Martin freaking knockout forever. It's already out there. The highlights are available. All you have to do is just, put your inquiry in there and you will get the results. For his freaking promoter, though, his knockout, who his fight was ended on his feet. And you can't find the whole fight unless somebody recorded it. But for Frank Martin, his fighter, he was stretched. He was put into a semi-comatose state, and that fight is retrievable. Tell me how that works. Tell me how that works. Shout out to the OG, Mr. Golden. I'm going to take my hat off to Frank. He put up a good fight until he ran out of gas. He did, but, the fight isn't over until the last second of the final round, right? When you get a 12-round fight, 3 minutes per round, championship showcase, it's a lot that's on the line. When you're stepping in there with the elite as Tank, bro, it's a lot more that goes on in the second half of the fight. That goes for either fighter. It is a methodical, strategizing duel that's in there. It's a process. And sometimes that process becomes quick, swift, and to the point. And sometimes that process is time released. You gradually see the fighter start to deteriorate. And that's when the results come later on in the fight. And that's what we seen last night. We seen Tank breaking this dude down. We seen him breaking down. Frank found a pair of Charlo's old sneakers in a cupboard at the world-class furniture store. So he thought he could outrun Tank. Man, hey, dude was showing quickness. He wanted to then show Tank. See, that's why I say, what Crawford's able to do is different, very, very unique. I know people feel some type of way every time I use him as a comparison, but one of the high points that I use with Crawford is that he does have a wrestling pedigree, right? With that wrestling pedigree, he does know how to use it to his benefit and advantages in certain areas, whether it's clinching or turning his opponent or whatever the case may be. Frank does have the wrestling pedigree too. I don't know what level, but he does have the wrestling pedigree. But his was a lot more sloppier in there. When he was throwing combinations, he would close and get clinch with Tank, and then at one point in time, he was trying to lift Tank off. He did lift Tank off the mat, using up all that energy unnecessarily, just for no reason, just using up all that energy. He seemed like he level changed and went in for a single. It was sloppy. It was a bit sloppy. As in Crawford, he utilized his wrestling pedigree and blended in so smoothly that his opponents would tell you, okay, you know what I'm saying? Shit he was doing in there. Okay, I can attribute that to that. But you saw what Frank was doing. Him trying to go for the singles, him trying to clinch and lift Frank up, lift Tank off the ground and all this other shit. And then, using all that energy to the point where he was running, and he started to slow down and he couldn't even really put his hands up to defend himself. Like he was on the ropes and his hand had descended. The fatigue was evident. It was now upon him, dog. Frank was inexperienced. An experienced fighter who was leading on the scorecards would have took a knee or clinched once he got stuck on the ropes. You know what, Timothy? Shout out to Timothy. You make a solid point. You make a very solid point. That can be attributed to his inexperience. Absolutely, I totally agree on that. When he was ahead on the scorecards, but yet he was being pressed. You have to include in that he was being pressed. So if you're talking about taking a knee, how many knees he was going to take with the second half of the fight? The second half of the fight was pending. So I agree with what you're saying as far as taking a knee or clinch once he was stuck on the ropes. It gets difficult. It gets very, very difficult for Frank when he becomes predictable. Now, what you're talking about is exactly what he did early in the fight when he had all that energy and strength. He did that early in the fight. He got close. He clinched. But then Tank started to try to push and get out of there. And then, he was separating their waist. You know what I'm saying? And letting the ref know that Frank was holding. So Frank didn't want to point deduct it. He putting in all that good work. He's landing all those good punches. But yet, he's getting tired. He's landing all that good work. But he's having to clinch. He's trying to slow Gervonta down from countering him or getting off on the inside. It was a lot of areas in that fight that Frank did not want to visit with Tank Davis. So in the front end, when he was full of energy and, you know what I'm saying, pumped up and all that, he was holding. He was clinching. He was doing what you were saying he should do. But taking a knee, I don't think he was dog tired like that yet. And then you have to understand with taking a knee deals with pride. Unless your name is Charlo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's been a lot of them to take a knee. Just ask Ryan Garcia. I mean, taking a knee to some people is quitting. I mean, it sounds stupid, but when you take a knee, some people say, "Oh man, you quit," because time the damn counting. You stood up, man. You all. But taking a knee is a smart way to regain your composure, get your wits back about you. You know what I'm saying? Stabilize yourself. You know what I'm saying? Really, really kind of, get your faculties back in order and then stand up and try to get back into the fight. But at the end of the day, Timothy, that shit wasn't going to work with Tank. Man, Tank was on the motherfucking hunt. Tank was on the motherfucking hunt, dog. Hey, Frank could have clinched. He could have took a knee. How many knees he going to take? You know what I'm saying? How many times he going to try to clinch before Harvey Doc takes a point? You know what I'm saying? Before Tank start to freaking complain to my, hey, ref, he's holding. Charlo didn't leave enough rubber on them sneakers for Frank to get out of the Tank's way. He couldn't run forever. Well, he should have laced them up pretty tight. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they wear the same shoe size, but he should have gave him more than one pair of laces on each shoe, and really, ran a lace over the top inlets and just wrapped that around his ankle, around and around and around, and try to make sure he had that ankle support. That's what he should have did. Respectfully, Tank did him accordingly. He wasn't on his level. When Tank switched gears, Frank was lost. Hey, good point. Good point. Solid reference. You know what I'm saying? Tank did him accordingly. Yes, he wasn't on his level, and God damn it, I wish I just would have, kind of dialed it in with the betting GPS a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit better. But it's definitely difficult to freaking dial in those rounds on what round the fight is gonna stop. But as far as being dropped, man, that sucked. You know what I'm saying? But Tank switched gears. Frank was lost. Absolutely. Once Calvin Ford told him he need the rest of these rounds, and the rest of those rounds mean from here all the way to the final bell. Tank came out there and was totally different. His hands was down. He was on kill. Early in the fight, he was just testing, forcing Frank to use that energy, fatiguing him, getting him tired, getting a feel for his power punches. Because, he had some cherries. He put some cherries on Tank's face. He did. When you see Tank come of Martin's right hand, which is not even nowhere close to his face. He has no defense mechanisms there, both internally and externally, y'all. His internal, his neurological system is haywire right now because Tank is already hit him with an uppercut, right? So whoever was working that shift, it was all fucked up in disarray. It was chaotic in there. And that's why Frank was just resting up against those freaking ropes. And he didn't know he was up against the ropes. If you really ask him a real true question, Frank probably thought he was taking a nap in the back of a car heading to the fight. He didn't know at that moment that they had already freaking wrapped up and he did the ring walk. No. You ask him, he probably thought he was sleeping in the back of the car taking a quick nap, on his way to the MGM Grand. He didn't know. And then right when that little twinkle, that coherency start to reappear, that's when Tank came over the top, man. It was done. It was over. Land of Nod. Welcome. We've been waiting on you. Yes, let us show you to your room. I hope you enjoy your stay. We have all these refreshments already in the fridge, basically ice cold water. That's all you need. And we have some ice packs. Everything is ice over here. Not the ones you wear, not the kind you wear around your neck, but ice to put on your face, to put on your chest, the back of your neck when you recover. Okay? And make sure you put on that robe now. You know what I'm saying? Keep your body temperature the way it's supposed to. Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy your stay. We've been waiting on you. You know what I'm saying? We've been waiting on you. Hope you enjoy your stay. And please, give us 5 stars when you leave. But I agree with Shaw News on that. He did him accordingly. Frank wasn't on Tank's level. But you know how boxing is going right now. They're not producing cloning, clone fighters. They're not going to a special region and being able to get these fighters no one heard about. It's been in the underground circuit, training, fighting, killing, maiming, breaking bones, and then all of a sudden they've trained them enough to the point where they have this killer instinct that's above average. And they put them out there in certain weight classes to go fight. No, that's not the way it is, bro. You take a knee so you can reset and get back to the middle of the ring. I'm not all. I understand why you take a knee, but that's not always the case because there's been several fighters over the decades when boxing has been in existence there, Timothy, that took a knee because of a body shot they took. And everybody knows you get hit with the right body shot, Timothy, you're not getting up and walking to the center of the ring, or you're not resetting anything. You're trying to basically get past and get some type of equilibrium back and get your damn mechanics back in order. You know what I'm saying? Either you stay on your feet taking that body shot and the fighter still sees you as a willing and able opposition, and they come up there and crush you. So yeah, they can take a knee to try to get rid of the pain, but that doesn't mean it's going to disappear. It's not going to dissipate. You know what I'm saying? No. They take a knee because it can be for resetting, or it can be like, damn, I'm paralyzed. I'm partially paralyzed right now. This pain is unbearable. Let me take a knee and try to goddamn, get my shit together. Not everybody has walked back to the middle of the ring after they've taken a shot, taken a knee, and then they say, okay, I'm going to reset. I'm going to walk to the middle of the ring. Why you need, most of the time the referee is not going to allow you to walk to the middle of the ring and do nothing. They're going to give you the count right then and there. Why are you on your knee? Tyrese, what's good? Salute to you. Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, some more the OG on deck. Salute, man. Tank hit his ass with the OU bitch. Man, y'all ain't showing Frank no love, man. What's wrong with y'all, man? This is a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to undisrespect Frank, man. Give that man something for effort. I don't know if it's going to be an A, but give him something for effort, dog. You know what I'm saying? If it's an N for non-satisfactory, I get it. But at least the first half, you can't erase that. The first half of the fight, bro. He did what he had to do. Like, he went out there and he had a game plan, and he said, I want to go up there and show people I'm something to be reckoned with. He was looking solid. His movement was there. He was catching Tank with some shots. Tank light skinned, so he was marking him up a little bit. But goddamn it, Tank said, hey, I'm at that point right now. Let's change levels, and let's show him why I'm Mr. L. Chin Checker straight out of Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of Baltimore, goddammit. Tank giving away 5 to 6 rounds, going to catch up with him once he fights a top 15 pound for pound fighter. You give up 6 rounds to Shakur, Lomachenko, Teofimo, Haney, then you likely will lose. Now, I gather what you're saying. I do. I totally gather what direction you're trying to go. On the other side of that, my retort is, let's exclude Devin Haney. Devin Haney was in a fight where he too was up, supposedly, in the 6th round. He too had did well early in the fight until Ryan Garcia did the exact same thing that Tank Davis just did. He started to come on. He ended up earning the 7th round knockdown. So when you say top 15, who's next? When you say top 15, Lomachenko, he was coming off a loss to Devin. Now, it's not up to me. I'm not here to go back and forth with you and say, well, no, I'm not going off who, well, he won. On BoxRec, it says Devin Haney won the fight. I've been on record saying I thought Lomachenko won the fight. But on BoxRec, it wasn't definitive enough with the judges to give him the nod. So he didn't win. He goes in here and fights Cambozo. And come on, what were we expecting, bro? Cambozo really didn't do anything spectacular except his night where he went in there and defeated Teofimo Lopez. Okay? He defeated Teofimo Lopez. Yes, he did. And then the first time he has the opportunity to defend the titles, what happens? In his backyard, what happens, bro? So I don't think and what you're trying to, the point you're trying to make has 100% validity to it to say a top 15 pound for pound fighter. Now, come on now. Now, first of all, let's get this straight. How many pound for pound fighters in the lightweight division? How many pound for pound fighters? Is Shakur Stevenson on the pound for pound list? He is a 3-weight world champion. Is he on the pound for pound list though? Is he on the pound for pound list? Let me just go over there and check around and see what has changed. Because when people say the pound for pound list on the ring right now, I see Javante at number 8. So when you say he started fighting the guys on the pound for pound list, first and foremost, that I know for a fact, it's not another lightweight fighter on the pound for pound list right now, other than Tank Davis. At one point in time, Crawford and Spence was on the pound for pound list as active champions. You know what I'm saying? Canelo Alvarez, 168 pounder. Is Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol 168 pounders? Does Anui has another co-op? Anui is 122, right? Is it anybody else 122? Because most of the time you don't have a compeer or a divisional colleague that's basically sharing space with you on these pound for pound lists. So that's where I'm at with it when you say when he fight a top 15 pound for pound fighter. Where's this top 15 pound for pound list at? Where's it at? Are you talking about ranking systems? Because when you go to the ranking systems, that shit get dim really, really quick. You get to a point where you say, no, so-and-so's fought that, he lost it that, okay, he beat that person that, and so-and-so, he ain't fought that. It really lets you stay where you at, in place. If he's fighting Lomachenko next, so be it. Lomachenko has an IBF title. You know what I'm saying? The infamous title that was the only one he had left prior to him fighting Teofimo Lopez. But he decided to, petition to become franchise belt. And the only title that was out there, Richard Comey ended up picking up the IBF. And all he had to do was pick up the IBF Lightweight World Championship. And Lomachenko wouldn't have been trying to go on this quest to become lightweight undisputed. He had one more belt, which was the IBF title. Currently that Robert Easter have. And freaking Mikey Garcia picked up. You know what I'm saying? That's all he needed. Richard Comey picked it up. And then Teofimo Lopez beat Richard Comey. That's all he needed to become lightweight undisputed. But no, now he has to step in there with El Chin Checker. And damn near Lomachenko might find himself in the hospital bed again. Marlon King, what are you talking about? No doubt. What are you talking about? Come on, MKB, man. Come on, what's going on with you, man? What are you talking about? The top 15 pound for pound fighters, yo. He said the top 15 pound for who are they? Where do they reside? How do we know who they are? Because okay, let's just say Tank fights somebody on the back end of the top 15. He's not going to get any credit. Let's just say he fights somebody within the top 10. Who? And what do they have? Do they have a belt? Because that's the only purpose that Tank is fighting for. He's making all these big paychecks and he want to fight somebody with a belt or not. Now he seems content with fighting championships for a belt. Because before he was making the big time money and he didn't care about really fighting him. That doesn't mean he would lose if he did fight him. It's just like, okay, you're fighting the Ryan Garcias and making all that money. You're fighting the Isak Cruz and making all that money. Isak Cruz, he's up there freaking 140. So who's next? Who's next for this top 15 pound for pound? Where are they? Where are these guys? Where are these guys? I'm just curious. And we're not talking about theory and freaking scenarios. Now you're getting off into something else. Usyk and Dubois. That has nothing to do with the topic at hand with Tank Davis and Frank Martin. I have no idea where you at right now, bro. Like, what does that have to do with Tank fighting the top 15? You know what I'm saying? Dubois was up next to fight Usyk for his belts, and regardless if Usyk faked a blow, it was up to Dubois to pretty much allow it to happen again. Somehow work himself into a position to basically land that punch once again. Maybe the next punch could have dropped Usyk, and it would have been called a knockdown. But somewhat effective immediately after that, Dubois, you know, he goes down like he went through a not he was somebody put a pin. Somebody popped him with a pin, man. He was deflated. I put it that way. It seems like the man was deflated. All the air sucked out because he didn't get one knockdown. But that's besides the point, big dog. You way off topic with that. Way off topic, Timothy. Tank was playing with him, then he stepped on him. He did, bro. Sublime. He stepped on him. Heels. He stepped on him. Heel to the deck. He stepped on Frank. And then make it so bad, after he stepped on Frank with those two punches, he stepped over Frank. He stepped on him and then proceeded to step over him en route to a celebration before the referee look, Harvey Doc hadn't even called the fight yet. And Tank was up there dancing on the second rope and then climbed to the top, and without any spotters, you know what I'm saying? No spotters. Tank did a backflip off the top rope again. The balls of him to do that. You know what I'm saying? The audacity for him to do that. Tank loses rounds but never lose control of the fight. Great point, man. Great point. Y'all hearing some great points today. Tank loses round but never lose control of the fight. Excellent analysis. Having control, losing rounds but still having control of the fight, in which the fans know that's true. The fans absolutely know that's 1,000% true, because the anticipation and anxiety was attendance. You know what I'm saying? He still has the capability to go in there and finish. And that's what we knew he had against Frank. It was only a matter of time. And you know, when you see a fight on a hunt, those 3 minutes can become long, extended. You're like, oh man, I don't think Frank gonna make it out of this round. I don't think he's gonna make it. Okay, god damn, he got a whole minute and 30 seconds. Shit. Get off the ropes, Frank. Get off the ropes, man. Oh, man, Frank. You know what I'm saying? That time start to tick slower because it's something pending with Tank. When Tank is on the hunt, man, his patience, you know what I'm saying? How he manipulate his opposition. He went from pressing him to standing right there in front of him, hands down. You don't know if he's coming with the right, the left. But good point. Devin Haney was fighting a fighter on steroids, so throw that out. Well, what I can say, you know, look, I'm not going against the grain on who was taking what, but way off topic. You mentioned top fighters. You mentioned Devin Haney, right? You mentioned Devin Haney. You mentioned Lomachenko. You're mentioning top fighters that Tank need to fight. But one of those top fighters, you're saying was in there with the fighter who was on steroids. It's no documentation because I looked it up. I also called Neil deGrasse. I say, you know, let's talk some biology a little bit. Let's talk about, you know, enhancement, physical enhancements. If a fighter, do you know if it's any documentation or any studies that's out there, if a fighter is let's just use BJJ for instance, because they don't test for steroids. So there's a lot of grapplers that's on steroids. Is there documentation out there with fighters who's juicing to have 100% win ratio? And the answer was absolutely no. There's no documentation up there where fighters who are juicing has an automatic offset to win each and every time. Each and every time they're going to win. No. So if you're talking about Ryan Garcia was on juice, well, look at it this way. We just have to wait till, the results come back from whoever, VADA, and take it from there. But they don't teach you how to fight. They don't teach you technical. They don't teach you how to have an offensive strategy and how to go in there and execute it. They don't teach you how to get the job done. Pairs don't do that. Pairs do not allow you that capability. So you just can't say, oh, throw that out. If the fight is overturned and they reverse it and give it a no contest or, to give Devin back his, so be it. That's cool. Well, what does that got to do with Tank? What does it got to do with Tank? All people remember right now, Timothy, is the fact that Devin was dropped 3 times in that fight. And it looked bad. That's all I'm saying, brother. But hey, I appreciate you interacting though. Real talk. Don't get it twisted. At least you talking boxing. And that goes for everybody else, man. Salute to y'all for your comments. Y'all seen the tapes. Davis got his brakes beat off by Young Phenom. MKB, man, he's adamant about continuing to put, Davis got his break. What happened last night? Did Frank beat the brakes off Tank? Or did the Tank pump the brakes? Got out, went over there, and gave Frank Martin a 2-piece. Proceeded to enter the vehicle and press the gas and burn up out there. Gone. He stepped over Frank Martin to be on time for his celebration. That's just dirty, y'all. No matter what you're saying about some sparring. Like I said, sparring doesn't get you a paycheck. Now, the work you put in can potentially in the future get you to earn a paycheck. But sparring doesn't get you a paycheck for like the sparring partners. Yeah, let's not be using semantics and being petty. Hey, sparring, man, what are you talking about? Sparring partners getting, no, I'm talking about the game checks. I'm talking about fight night checks. We're not talking about, hey, man, that $200 over there, man, we got you. We paid you cash this time. Floyd was a MTF with the doghouse rules. Yeah, Floyd did have doghouse rules. I'm not sure how that deals with Tank Davis though. Did Frank Martin attend the doghouse rules back in the day? Lomachenko, Shakur, Devin, Teofimo all have been on pound for pound lists at least once in their last 3 years. Frank Martin has never won a title. So you're pretty much concurring what Shaw News said earlier. He said pretty much Tank Davis did what he was supposed to do. He did it accordingly. So this is not an argument for me. I never said anything about them on the pound for pound list, but you said the top 15. You didn't say the top 5. And Teofimo was at 140. Did you forget? It's an option for Tank Davis to move up to 140, but he's currently reigning defending at 135. So I know you're just combining these names because at one point in time, Teo was the unified champion at 135, but he has since moved to 140. So now if you want to say the top 3, then you could say Lomachenko, Shakur, Devin, okay? Because Devin Haney still holds his WBC title. You know what I'm saying? At 140 pounds. If you want to reflect on him being the undisputed, therefore, you have to do a wipe of the data system too. That's what I'm trying to get to you. Like, y'all be trying to confuse yourselves. I know Devin's presence is still down at 135 because the belts that people was fighting for was his. He finally vacated them, just like Crawford. It's gonna be a long time before people omit Crawford from the 147-pound division once he has this fight at 154. But you're trying to compare opponents to Tank. Both, these top four, top five are in your thought process because they used to fight at 135. Two of them has since left. T.O., he stepped off first, and then came Devin. So your list is very small in comparison to trying to validate, Tank Davis fighting the top five at 135 pounds, because now you have to dig into fighters who really haven't been tested like that. You have to go to the Keyshawn Davises. You have to go to the Abdullah Masons, the Floyd Schofields. You know what I'm saying? Let's even take a little trip over there, right? Let me show you how dense the 135 pounds is, even when it comes to what you was trying to say. You said top 15 pound for pound, but when you say top 15 in the ranking systems, you got Cepeda that's at the top of the rankings in 3 sanctioning bodies now. So what are we looking at? Guys who are unproven. You know what I'm saying? We got Frank Martin. You know what I'm saying? We got the Floyd Schofields, Keyshawn Davises, Muratala. Like I said, William Cepeda, Edwin De Los Santos. You know what I'm saying? It gets dense real quick. I'm not even down in the top 10 of the sanctioned bodies. Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz is like 4-5-0. George Kambosos just lost to freaking Vasily Lomachenko. Oh, come on, bro. Come on now. Shout out to Tough Glove Boxing in the building. What's good with it, Tough Glove? How you feeling, bro? Happy Father's Day to you. The lightweight division is fabrication by PBC. Frank wasn't on or near the pound for pound lightweight caliber boxer. And that's a lot that's going on in boxing, period. How do we get these freaking mandatories? These individuals just come and they pop out of nowhere to be the mandatory. Where are they? What does it consist of? What is the criteria for a fighter to become a mandatory challenger? They just appear out of nowhere. Are they top pound for pound? Because these mandatories come out of nowhere, and they have to fight the champions. So how can you get a title shot as a mandatory and no one's really seeing you in the top 15? George Kambosos had 3 belts and offered Tank a fight. Devin offered Tank a shot at Undisputed. Josh Taylor offered Tank a shot at Undisputed. Tank Handler's turned all them fights. Now, the common denominator that all those names that you mentioned has when it comes to Tank, Timothy, you already know. It seems like you've been a part of boxing for a minute. Boxing is a business, right? Don't we have conversations about this a lot via social media on boxing being a business? Haven't we totally understand that Tank has been taking these fights with certain names for the monetary numbers, whether they're in-house fight or whatever? We know how that's been working out over at PBC. So you can't say Tank's handlers. If Tank was locked in where they wanted to have in-house fights, that's just the way it was. It ain't shit Tank can do about it. Just like when Errol Spence said that this what Al Heyman mentioned. He mentioned Sean Porter. He mentioned Pacquiao. And then Bud said, oh, he didn't mention me. Nah, he didn't mention you. I mean, well, that's not Crawford's fault. That's not Errol Spence's fault. Well, it was in a way, because I don't think it would have been anything he can do if they didn't have the money for the fight. And plus, he didn't want anyone touching it. So some of these decisions, man, is not to hold a certain fighter liable, because it's nothing they can do about it. The fighter's not putting up the money. They're not paying for the promo. They're not going through all those administrative logistics. So to say Kambosos had 3 belts, Kambosos don't bring in the money. It don't matter how many belts he had. Like Tank was giving you a different diagram on how to make millions of dollars selectively, picking certain names to fight. Devin Haney. How many times we're gonna go over this? You know what I'm saying? How many times we're gonna go over that? Was the fight? Did they really want the fight? We don't know. Josh Taylor. We're talking about 140 pound again, formerly undisputed. You mentioned Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. They don't fight at 135 no more. It doesn't make a difference what George Kambosos had. George Kambosos, he tried to walk around here like he was going on a press tour, which he did, just because he beat Teofimo Lopez. And did Teofimo fight at lightweight after that? No, he went up to 140. Did George Kambosos defend his title? Them titles that he spent so much, time doing the press tour from Teo? No, he didn't. He couldn't successfully defend them, bro. And then when he lost them, he couldn't even get them back. Loma is a valid 135 pounder / 130 pounder. He, of course, is a 3-weight world champion, been on the pound for pound list. But what I don't appreciate and what I devalue about Lomachenko is that when he lost his belts to Teofimo Lopez, they kept him on the pound for pound list. I didn't like that. Why? How can you still be on the pound for pound list and you lost? You lost. I mean, you lost, buddy. And then you was up here fighting Teofimo's freaking common opponents. You went up there and fought Richard Comey, being all theatrical, telling his corner to stop it. And then you fought Masayoshi Nakatani. I mean, does he supposed to get points on fighting common opponents that really wasn't established? I mean, give or take. Masayoshi Nakatani, his career could have elevated a lot more if he would have beat Teo. But he fought Teo for a title eliminator for the IBF. He lost. That was his first loss. So Teo went on to do what we know him to do. Picked up the IBF championship and beat Lomachenko. But Gonna Stop Canelo is in the building. Salute to you, brother. Well, at WCS a few months ago, Shakur was a runner. The most boring fighter in history. And people wanted him to stay retired. Now, all of a sudden, he's the man to beat Tank. Well, you know how the weather changes so very much, so very quickly over in this YTC. I mean, we want to talk about global warming. It's a lot that goes on when it comes to trying to predict the weather. And you're absolutely right. Shakur Stevenson, he was basically titled and labeled as a runner against De Los Santos, and for good reason. De Los Santos presented, a threat when it comes to having power. And that threat, for a lot of people, was pretty much checked off when he went in there and knocked out El Rayo. Now, I can understand, I hear Timothy on here talking about, top 15 pound for pound fighters, and, Tank is going to be some type of way when he fight these guys. But to the naked eye, everybody processes information and data differently. The data that they collected for De Los Santos to present this power that Shakur Stevenson ended up being frightful of from the naysayers, this is from the naysayers saying that, was based off him stopping El Rayo. El Rayo was an up-and-coming fighter that they was putting, a little bit more support behind. They was like, oh, man. Position to go get that title shot, man. God damn. Oh, man, I didn't see this coming. And then he ended up having a semi-rivalry with who? Chris Colbert. A lot of people, including myself, thought he beat Chris Colbert the first time. He takes another L. How do you think Chris Colbert felt? I mean, how do you think El Rayo felt? Jose Valenzuela. He had to go back, put him to sleep. Now, when Valenzuela steps in there with Isaac Cruz, he's going to have to take that momentum and he's going to have to go in there and prove that the way he did Chris Colbert dirty, you know what I'm saying? He's the way he went in there against De Los Santos, he's got to prove that he's on the level of a Tank, because a Tank has went the distance with Isaac Cruz. He's got to prove he's on the level of Santillan, or Giovanni. He's gonna have to prove that. You know what I'm saying? And you're talking about moving up to a higher weight class. But it all depends on what the fans see. The fans saw De Los Santos knock out El Rayo, stop him. And he went in there, and Shakur allowed them to continue to think that De Los Santos has this, you know what I'm saying? He has that mustard, that wasabi on his hands. But yet Shakur Stevenson said, no, I'm half man, half cat. I'm a feline, a leopard. I'm a cheetah. I mean, Shakur has some crazy reflexes. And to Shakur Stevenson, his mentality is, I'm going to fight him the way I want to fight him. I don't give a damn what y'all talking about. So if I want to fight smart, if I want to be intelligent, and I want to show him that respect, but yet, you know, get clean and be able to still technically win the fight, that's what I'm doing. That's his mentality, bro. I've heard him say it too many times that he's going to fight the way he want to fight. So now, you know, the fact that Shakur Stevenson was a runner, we can say he was boxing. We can say Shakur Stevenson was boxing. But for these anxious freaking boxing fans, depending on how much activity and good fights, solid fights we have going on in boxing, it wasn't too much for them to think about except that. It was crazy because Shakur Stevenson, the retirement deal to me, it just didn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? It really didn't make any sense. For the first time I seen Shakur Stevenson emulating something another fighter did at Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo said he was retiring until they put out, the news broke and said, hey, we're about to schedule this fight for Teofimo's WBO title. And then he quickly came out of retire. He unretired. For Shakur Stevenson, I think he just put it out there just for play. So therefore, if they believe Shakur Stevenson is the one to go in there and fight Tank and get it done, well, he's going to have to process and look at film. He's over there with Bud Crawford. I'm pretty sure the mad scientist is going to get together, and it's going to be a hell of a freaking chess match. You got Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis, and then you got Bomac, and you got Shakur Stevenson. And I like what we've been hearing lately. And Tank said it in the press conference. Lomachenko is probably next, you know, with that signing that fight. And then he looked forward to fighting, you know, Shakur Stevenson and whoever else. So pretty much that is saying that he's trying to go for undisputed. Because Lomachenko is the IBF. He goes in here. I see him beating Lomachenko. I don't see all this, you know, Lomachenko being on the outside. I think he gets rid of Lomachenko quicker than he did Martin. And then when it comes to Shakur Stevenson, that's going to be a chess match. But if Shakur Stevenson isn't able to wake Tank up and put him in a state where, you know, the reason why he's, you know, letting rounds pass by because he just can't figure Shakur out, that's different. Or, oh, Shakur had more power than I thought. Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? If Shakur cannot get Tank to second guess, if Shakur cannot force Tank to go to plan B, C, D and start counting down the alphabetic table, then that would make for an interesting ass fight. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and say Shakur is gonna go in there and mollywop Javante, I don't see it. But you are right. But gonna stop. I've heard, you know what I'm saying? I've heard the resurgency of Shakur Stevenson supposedly. I don't know where they get that at, but right now, come on, both of them have 3 divisions, on their register. That's a good fight. That is a good fight. Shakur Stevenson, Javante Davis, good, solid, man, solid matchup. I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see that fight. We're not throwing nothing out. Haney got smoked. They had nothing to do with steroids. He did, man. But you have people that's still up here insinuating as if they're did all these freaking control study groups, and they had all these individuals that's under the black, what I'm saying, the underground. You know what I'm saying? When they're fighting on the underground, and they doing all these tests on these fighters who, in one side you got the ones that's clean and the other ones which is juiced up, but yet they have equal freaking fighting skills, and they doing tests and studies on the ones with pads. Can they go undefeated on the underground fighting circuit? Come on now. Shout out to Zoe in the building. I have someone give Javante Davis his flowers. Came up with him in the circuit, and bro overcame obstacles. Much love. When you get to a point where Tank is at, bro, and thanks for the comment, right? So you get to a point where Tank is at, and we pretty much know, what I'm saying, the roots. Let me put that back up there. Hold on for a second. Let me put my joint back up there from yesterday. When you know where the roots have grown from with Tank, you know what I'm saying? His roots, man, and what he went through. Certain voices on this YTC need to understand that maybe Tank is always freely thinking about where he came from. Maybe he's always very attentive with a higher level of alertness, that he do know where he came from. He knew the adversity that he experienced. And you have people there's these motivational speakers, and they always talk about the struggle, and they talk about, what I'm saying, never let someone else dictate your dream. Your dream may not be their dream. You know what I'm saying? Your dream may not be their dream. So don't allow anyone else to pilot you towards your dream, right? With Tank, he pretty much understand where he came from back in the day. He may definitely fight for a purpose that we don't know what the hell he's thinking, but his purpose may be something way deeper, with his people, his family, his mom, everybody around him. So at the end of the day, people have to understand that, man, boxing, the gloves may be familiar to a lot of people. The trunks may be familiar to a lot of people. The 4-corner quadrant, which is their battle domicile, everybody's familiar with that. The bell ringing, the 3 minutes per round, the minute in between, everybody's familiar with that. Everybody's familiar with certain, points that we know boxing consists of. But not every fight is negotiated off the same criteria. Itself, just because both of y'all are undefeated. You know what I'm saying? The method for which they're negotiating is different for everybody. The criteria, when it seems so simple, hey man, so and so should fight so and so. It's not, because you have so many entities running it. Now, if by chance Turkey Al Sheik, from the rumor that's out there, he's trying to basically change boxing forever and place it in a tournament style sport, where he wants the structure to be that, to emulate the UFC, have a president, have matchmakers, it just be one entity, y'all. That would change the sport forever. And when I did that live a ways ago, and I was talking about how the sport was not regulated, right? And what it would take to buy out the promoters. And it seems like it's impossible because that will break people from making and doing certain things in the sport. A lot of people who was making money now, they would go broke damn near. If he goes over here and let's just say from what I heard out here, take 5 billion to the sheiks, 5 billion for control and be able to link up with certain people to make boxing into a tournament style sport now, and to have a organizational spreadsheet. Like you can pretty much go off boxing being organized now. The belt systems will be reduced. You know what I'm saying? Fighters, the regularity of fighters fighting in the ranking system would absolutely be reconstructed, revised. It'll be absolutely different. Now that's what we're talking about. It becomes different. You know what I'm saying? It becomes different. These champions will get tougher challengers on a regularity. Just other tough challenges waiting ahead of you. You don't really get no time. And then let's just say if you're a champion, we've seen it before. You get knocked out. This is what I like about the UFC. They allow you to be able to fight for your belt again. I love it, bro. What if boxing can basically, emulate that same structure, bro? Now boxing fans are going to tune in more because we're not waiting years upon years for fighters to fight one another again. Like we have trilogies in the UFC and MMA all the time, man. We had Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno fight 4 freaking times, man. How many times have Dustin Poirier gotten a title shot? There's no way that can happen like that in boxing. Anyway, I gotta move on. No doubt, Zoe. Appreciate you, bro. Chant Ross told me told me today he saw an interview with Errol Spence saying Frank's next fight could well be against Rolly Romero. Well, look, you have to look at it like this too. Who is Rolly Romero signed with, Toby? And look, just the fact that you put 4 question marks at the end, right, tells me that you're asking yourself, why is this even a conversation? All you have to do is just look at how they've been mixing these fights up. You see more and more. Look, pay attention to how boxing is going, y'all. You see more and more recycled fighters fighting one another when you say they should be out the picture. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at how Isaac Cruz did Rolly Romero, but how many losses did Rolly Romero have before Isaac Cruz defeated him? How many? How many? He had Tank Davis. So he has the Tank Davis, and then he goes in here and picks up his second loss with Isaac Cruz. Both of those was championship fights. That's why Rolly Romero still has some Wall Street, some value to his name. He lost 2 championship fights to big names. So if by chance Frank, who just lost the same thing, Frank just lost to Tank Davis. You got Isaac Cruz that lost to Tank. You got freaking Rolly Romero who lost to Tank. You got Frank Martin who lost to Tank. Championship fight. Now, if Rolly Romero fights Frank, now Frank is fighting a former champion in Rolly Romero, and that'll be the second championship fighter that he had fought. It doesn't look bad on Frank, only because of what people seen with Isaac Cruz defeating Rolly. That's the worst look. And we all know Rolly is a goofball, but he went in there with 2 championship fights. We all know that is a bunch of bullshit for him to immediately get a title shot. Could you look, think about this, y'all. Could you imagine Rolly going in there against Alberto Puello, the same one who fought Gary Antoine Russell? What? He would have got decimated, y'all. So for him to be put in that position Immediately after being stopped, come on, boxing, man. And boxing don't have no template, bro. They do what the hell they want. You want to talk about freehand and shit? Man, boxing will write you some shit. You know what? However you want them to do it. Calligraphy, cursive, freaking print, font 9, font 3. It don't matter how you want it. Felt tip. They don't fucking care. They're Toby. They don't give a damn. AMP on deck. That fight was easy work for Tank. Absolutely no competition. I like to see him get in there with Shakur or any top ranked fighter. Just not sold on these overhyped, overrated PBC fighters. I don't see where you're going with Tank Davis being overrated. AMP, come on, man. You've been on this. You've been at this for too long. Tank is not overhyped by no sense of the word, bro. When you he doesn't even come close to even fitting within that narrative. They was just saying like Bud Gun Stop Canelo said about Shakur Stevenson. They was saying that he was slow. He was scared. I mean, not slow. He was scared. He didn't want to take no punishment. He was a runner. He's a track star. Wasn't that what they were saying about Edwin De Los Santos' fight with Shakur? Absolutely. So when you saying that it was easy work for Tank, how? Come on, we can't overlook that Frank was actually, executing the strategy, trying to delegate as much as possible. He's trying to execute every exchange. He was trying to keep, winning every exchange. If just the way he set the trap for Tank. The first time he was up against the rope in the corner, y'all saw that, right? When Frank was in the corner, it was a lot of fainting going on, and Frank held his poise. He just stayed there. Boom, boom. Then when Tank went in there, he hit him. He lined him up with the left hand. That was a clean shot. Clean shot. That was a clean shot. Frank wasn't just going in there not doing anything right. He was doing some things right. He was able to do it early in the fight when he was fresh, but it's 12 rounds and you in there with a hunter. You in there with a top pound for pound fighter. You in there with a future Hall of Famer. You in there with the hardest hitter. You know what I'm saying? Frank was in there setting traps for Tank. But one thing we can say about Tank, he does improvise, adapt, and overcome. When it's time to make adjustments, he make adjustments. It's just sometimes with him, he really like to get a good a field of what his opposition, their power feels like. They want to know. Tank wants to assess himself how his opposition handles pressure, and how the pressure deals with Tank and decision making process. He's smart, man. His boxing IQ is top notch, bro. He said belts don't mean nothing to Tank. After all, Floyd was letting Devin beat the brakes off his tapes. Marlon King, man, that fuck is still talking about the sparring match. Hilarious, man. But let me ask you this question. What means more? What has long-standing value there, Marlon King? Belts or money? The check is smaller than a belt, but when you talk about what's on the check, it extends further range and distance than any belt that any champion would have in their home. The value has none outside of the home, but that check does. The check allows you to addition certain things in your home. A check allows you to purchase things outside of the home. If you stretch a belt out, right? The only extension they have outside of where you're staying is that when people pull out BoxRec and they want to have a conversation or a dialogue about who you are as a fighter, all they have to do is go on and say, hey, let's look up BoxRec. Let's go on YouTube, put in the inquiry and look at the fight. Let's do this. That's it. That's it. But when when those numbers extend outside, you have the ability to purchase. You have the ability to obtain. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You're saying if Terrence Crawford knock out Canelo, test positive for Pez, steroids, that's all you will ever remember is that Crawford knocked out Canelo. Look, you can confuse, other people, but that's way off, that's way off anything. You know what I'm saying? That's totally two different fighters on totally two different levels. We're talking about Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. That is not the same with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. I'm saying a lot of people thought Devin Haney's skill set was much more at an elevated, advanced level than Ryan Garcia. A lot of people thought that. You have to talk about this man was undisputed. He defended those belts in Australia with the Aussie double and defended them against Lomachenko when he came back home. People was believing that Devin Haney's skill set was far more superior than that of Ryan Garcia. You know that. But when you're talking about skills, and when you're talking about multi-time division world champion, let's just say Crawford and Canelo are both 4 division world champions. Crawford has already went up to 154. Now, if you want to use the comparison or your analytics want to insert test positive for Pez, if he knocks out Canelo, that's all that they're going to remember. It's different. It's different, brother. It's different because if Crawford knocks out Canelo, ain't nobody going to be talking about no Pez. Hey, look. Hey, Crawford knocks out Canelo, ain't nobody going to be talking about no Pez. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, boxing's a dirty, grimy, slimy game, man. I'm telling you, we have to look at it in so many other fine details when you're talking about investigation. Look at the situation on how you're trying to compare this. Just balance it out. You have 2 hands. Balance out the scenarios and where we at right now. Ostarine. People are comparing a single fight of Ostarine to what Ryan Garcia did. And also they feeling some type of way all bitter because Ryan has been making a mockery out of reminding people that he purposely missed weight. And then he went in there and knocked down Devin Haney 3 times. The point on why people are remembering Devin Haney was dropped 3 times is because it came down to certain areas of Devin not being defensively responsible. What does that got to do with Pez? What does that got to do with Pez? Devin was taught defense. If we're going to release tapes that MKB continues to talk about, if he's being highlighted in these sparring sessions, shouldn't he be highlighted to go in there and face Ryan Garcia and still have those attention gainers right there of how he was in there with Tank and what he should have did when he was in there with Ryan Garcia? Am I right or wrong, bro? Am I right or wrong? If you want to compare the scenario, 2 different levels of fighters, when you're talking about both 1 and 2, comparable to Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, there was space in between what they have achieved in their boxing career. There was a gap. Devin Haney was legit lightweight undisputed. He was legit 140-pound WBC champion. Still is to this day. No one was expecting Ryan Garcia to go in there and drop that man the way he did and outbox him, just bully him. When it comes to Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, if Crawford go in here and knock Canelo out, you think they just going to blame it strictly on Pez and that's what Crawford's been doing? That's what Crawford's been doing? Let's just make it even more interesting, right? Let's just say Tank knocked out Frank Martin and he tested positive for Ostarine. Are they going to come up here and say, oh, well, we need to go back into Tank's 29 other fights? All them knockouts he had in the past 29 fights, he was on Pez. How? Tank legitimately be knocking dudes out. But let's just say he had a moment where he tested positive for something. We have to wait till the investigation's over with, bro. You know what I'm saying? They have to wait, period. The analogy is subpar. I get where you was going with it, but you need to basically try to get analogy where combining the two fighters. You know what I'm saying? You're taking something extreme. You're talking about two fighters in the same weight class with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, Vice Crawford moving up 2 weight classes from 54 to 68. People are going to be thinking about a lot. They're going to thinking Canelo Alvarez should beat Crawford ass, regardless if he's on pads or not. Pads is not proven to have fighters coming in here winning fights automatically. Canelo fans are going to believe, because Crawford is a smaller fighter, that Canelo should be able to do anything and everything to stop whatever freaking advantage Crawford has. Because some feel just like they felt when he was stepping in there with Spence, that he's not on the level. So Pez don't have anything to do with that, shouty, in my opinion. If you don't think that the overweight breaking, if you don't think that overweight and breaking the ped list rules doesn't matter, then quit watching boxing. Well, breaking the ped rules, you have to look at it this way too. There's a reason for an investigation. Okay? I understand Neutral Bio has came out with a statement. What do you expect them to come out with? They're going to come out with a statement to support themselves. It's not impossible for supplements to be contaminated, and I refuse to go in detail about anything, dealing with this. All I'm saying is, to keep it on topic, is that what did Ostarine have to do with Devin Haney having better defense? If Devin was having success early part of the 1 through 6 rounds, what happened in the back end on the 7th round when he was caught and knocked down? Did the pads automatically kick in? Did he have like a pad patch under his armpit? And it took a little bit of time, like the plaster of Paris, the more wet it get, the more pads it put out into the body? Was that it? I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. No great fighter in history never turned down a chance and undisputed in their own division. So you're saying boxing operates off a system where the decisions are based the same. Now we're talking about a system that has no growth. Now we're talking about a sport who has a group of individuals in 17 divisions that every fight is done alike. Every ranking system is alike. Everything is mirrored off the same criteria. All fights are pretty much did the same way. All the criteria for matching up the fighters are matched up the same way. You cannot say no great fighter. No great fighter. Who justifies? Who labels a great fighter? A great fighter is based off what? What opponent makes them great? Once again, what did they do? What achievements or accolades did they make? If it's based off an opponent, is that opponent considered to be great? What makes that opponent great? Who did they fight to be great? So when you use the underlining tag of great, who deemed them great? Who deemed them great? No great fighters never turned down. Now you're just speaking out of bounds. You're just speaking in a way that you have nothing to back it up. If you're going to say no great fighter, give me at least 10 great fighters. And we need to understand how these fighters considered to be great and when did they turn down undisputed. Are we talking about the 3-belt era, 2-belt era, 4-belt era? What are we talking about? What era are we talking? You have to itemize that a bit more. Think out here picking and choosing. Let's keep it a buck. Look, it's not stupid of him to pick and choose. You need to blame the people that's allowing him to make millions. What are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? We're the consumers. If the man is out here making millions, money that is going to stretch as far as you can see, especially if you invest it, is far more than the distance if you basically unfolded all the belts and you even put them together. They're only going to go so far, man. They're only going to go so far. You know who you need to blame? Boxing. Boxing is the reason why these belts only stretch as far as they do. Because boxing doesn't have a retirement pension plan. Boxing doesn't have unions, you know what I'm saying, around that fighters can go to and voice their grievances. Where is these belts being able to allow you, like you have a real job, to be able to put into Social Security, to buy into a 401k? Where's that in boxing? So when these fighters retire, being that fighters don't retire at the same age across the board, there's no uniformity. So where are the pensions at? How does these belts get you pensions? I can see if the belts allowed you to be in a ranking system where at the end, at a certain period of years, they take the belts that you've earned in the sport, and it allows those to be used as on a point system, as per capita, how much those belts is considered far as this appraising, this open appraising system. And then they take the money that's from the appraising system and they calculate it just like the VA does. They rate you with these disabilities, they put it up against a formula, and then at the end they come up with a percentage. And that percentage right there goes to whoever it is, and then they allow you to say, hey, we rate you at 70%, 75%, and this is how much you're gonna rate in your retirement for the rest of your life. That's not the case. If the belts had that, if the belts was like that, then I can say, okay, yeah, he should be trying to goddamn become 10, 12, 15, 20-time world champion. Yeah, cool. Because you can put that all those achievements on a formula and they can give you a percentage to your rating for your pension. That's not the case. Nobody's talking about, I'm not going to go in detail about pay-per-views because we know there's plenty of people that's out here streaming. So that's a stale point to make. Seriously, you know, we cannot sit up here and talk about something that there's no freaking stability behind it. It's extremely flexible. We really don't know the raw numbers. People just sit up here and blurt the numbers out. You don't know what the pay-per-view numbers were because we're a day removed from the fight itself. So what are the numbers? And how did you get a hold of the numbers? And are they correct? No, you name them. You name them. I'm not doing your homework for you. You name them. Tank can't keep cherry picking every single fight. Call it what you want. Call it what you want. But I can tell you this, when you look at the numbers and how he's getting paid, Tank is not having the amount of controversy. If you seen this last night, check this out. If you seen this last night, what are they at? If you witnessed that last night, you're going to be mad again. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be mad again. If you seen that last night, because this is a guy who's up on the ring rope with a Tank #1 fighter shirt on, and on the back has something about a rematch, and they're just laughing and joking. They're doing nothing wrong, but this is a guy who's continuing to get mad love. And boxing, what does it do? If the commission wants to suspend Ryan Garcia, this is not going to be a lengthy banishment. This is not going to affect his retirement pension plan. It does nothing. It's just a process that they're going to give this man and say, hey, we found you guilty of this per all the investigation, all this, that, and the other. Boom. We're going to suspend you for this amount of months, i.e. retroactive back to this date right here. But we're talking about a fighter who's currently being investigated for this, and he's up there joking around with a guy who just won, and he's trying to get a rematch. Can boxing stop the rematch? No, they can't. Will somebody want to see the rematch? Yeah. How much money did both of these make? Y'all are worried about the wrong thing. Y'all worried about the wrong thing. How much money did they make together? Why is Ryan able to go on this tour? He's not acting like he's broke. This guy's out here having fun. So if Tank is out here maneuvering in such a way outside of what people expect him to be doing, you blame it on the sport of boxing because they have a flawed system that doesn't force a fighter. They just skip over. They shuffle them around. They bring in who they want to bring in. A fighter lose, they keep them at the top for to make this money and that money. Hey, you're worried about the wrong thing, man. So Bob Arum, who has did a co-promotion with PBC before. Let's just go back to the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, right? They've co-promoted before. So all of a sudden Bob Arum is not doing anything with Amazon Prime when he basically man, I'm done. I'm done. Bud gonna stop Canelo. And you just a tank hater and stop crying, being so negative. Hey, I'm done, man. You're getting off point. First you was talking about boxing, and now you're just putting your own biased narratives into it, which you need to do your own research. I'm not gonna sit here and read comments, right? And you expect me to go comment to comment, and now you saying what Bud gonna stop Canelo said. You're whining, you bickering. You know what I'm saying? You're bickering about stuff now. I'm not the boxing HR department. I'm not going to submit a grievance letter in my findings for punishment and reprimands and consequences. Come on, bro. You're basing your opinions. AMP said, I'm not saying Tank is overrated, but it's come. Tank is definitely isn't overrated. Well, like I said before, when he fought Rolly Romero, I didn't hear people saying that Rolly was overrated. They were saying, oh, Rolly got a chance. Rolly got a chance. Yokis Gamboa. Oh, Gamboa has a chance. We want to see it. What about Isak Cruz, small Isak Cruz? Who did he beat on Tank's level leading into that fight? Who? Who did he beat, bro? Diego Magnolino? Who did he beat to put him on Tank's level? And he ended up going the distance. And they say, when you suggest a star's been born, yeah, a star's been born. Been back in the ring with Tank. He's not even in the same division as Tank anymore. He moved up there and fought the easiest touch. And they up here talking about the people that Tank selects. Isak Cruz fought Tank, lost, and hung around trying to get a freaking rematch, kissing his ass, and then move up and fight this very same guy who lost to Tank, the easiest champion in the division, who was gifted a belt. Now, you want to talk about manipulation? You want to talk about Tony Weeks being given the orders? Barroso being screwed over and becoming the freaking interim champion, but his name is nowhere in sight to face Isak Cruz? What happened to Ismael Barroso? He's the interim champ, right? He got screwed over. They bring him back the next fight due to the outcry of the fans, and they still haven't put him in there for a championship fight. Look at Sebastian Fundora. How long was he interim WBC champion? And they kept on feeding until he got knocked out. Because Jamel Charlo, they had other plans for Charlo. He went up there and took the paycheck with Canelo and then came off all the belts. I'm not a counselor, bro. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is Ryan Garcia, when it comes to those individuals, those fans, whoever they may be, whoever they support, you can't stop Ryan Garcia from hanging out on the ring ropes, bullshitting and kicking it with Tank, and letting everybody see his Tank's #1 shirt on and everything. Man, come on, bro. Shout out to MKB once again with the $2 super chat, lighting up the tree of life. WCS, I appreciate you, dog. You know what I'm saying? Tank versus lightweight class. He's feeding us crumbs. Man, MKB is mad. He's feeling some type of way. He's perturbed. You know what I'm saying? He is perturbed. For real. Thanks for the $2 donation, though, brother. Real talk. God dang. MKB is relentless. Hey, man. You on that hot grease, shawty, for real. Hey, on that hot grease, for real, man. Okay, you tried to wordplay your way out of losing the debate. Jake Paul make millions. He's now all time great. What does money got to do with being an all time great? That pretty much debunks, what you're saying in general. You're trying to say that Tank is fighting, fighters that you don't consider highly rated, but yet he's still making millions. And I'm explaining to you on the lowest level possible that that's boxing. Boxing allows fighters to maneuver and pick these fights. They have to be paid one way or the other, right? So, of course, WCS is not the one who's basically determining what a fighter should get paid. And then you want to talk about pay-per-view numbers flopping and all that. So let's just say pay-per-view numbers and basically factor in what Tank Davis is making. How does that happen? How does he not fight, in your words, and everybody else that's feeling the same way? How does Tank not fight the top tier competition and still get paid millions, 25, 30 plus millions of dollars if the pay-per-view is flopping? How is he still able to not face the top competition and be a pay-per-view star every time his fights come up? Pay-per-view, pay-per-view. So if he's sitting up here cherry picking, so to speak, if y'all saying it, if he's not selecting the top tier competition, why is he still making top dollar bill? Why is that? It's no wordplay, and there's no debate. It's crazy how people come over here and you allow them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't even interact with the chat. I'm allowing you to be in the conversation, but yet you want to turn around and say it. I'm losing a debate of all people. I'm done, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're wasting my time at this point. Tank is entertaining us all at WCS, but I won't consider him a great anytime soon. Who said, first of all, who said that he was an ATG? Tank is a Hall of Famer, whether you all want to believe it or not. There's people with less accolades than Tank. When you combine, you have to look at Timothy Bradley making it to the Hall of Fame. Now, go compare Timothy Bradley accolades and don't just use Pacquiao. Okay, let's not just use Pacquiao as to why Timothy Bradley in there. Hey, everybody's freaking invitation to the Hall of Fame is different. That's all. Tank Davis is gonna be in the Hall of Fame whether y'all like it or not. It don't freaking matter. Y'all can't stop a lot of things that goes on in boxing. Y'all can't stop it. Everybody want to talk about what this fighter ain't doing and but you don't see what's happening. This man is making millions of dollars, and you're trying to go and convince a host that he shouldn't be making this when boxing doesn't even have a president. It doesn't have a governing body, one governing body who oversees every freaking aspect of boxing. The sport isn't regulated, but you're bitching and complaining about belts. And who ain't fought with a belt? Everybody with a belt isn't considered the top tier. Rolly Romero is the perfect example of how that can play out the way it did. Knocked out by Tank in 6 and goes up and get an automatically title at 140. Who did that? Who did that right there? Who? How does that work, Shawty? Somebody explain that. How does that work now? How does that work again? Somebody explain that to me. How does that work? Somebody please explain that to me. How? How can we just be up here talking about belts upon belts upon belts? And some of the champions that have belts are not deemed the top rated fighter in the division. They're not considered killers. People always have a backstory. Y'all gonna have to figure it out, man. I mean, I hope y'all don't stress yourself out talking about Tank ain't an all-time great. You know how many boxers have traveled the road of ATG? Who cares? A boxer, what they truly want to be a part of at the end of the day is what? They want the jacket. And this is gonna come upon a time in my old age where I should be able to see a lot of these young fighters right now be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And this conversation is being had. It has nothing to do with no debate. It has something to do with whoever the voting I don't want to say the voting class, but the voting group or whoever for the induction, y'all need to find out who they are. That's all I can tell you. Find out who they are. That's what you have to do. Find out who they are. Devin Haney literally said, it doesn't matter what weight he comes in. He's a true champion, and he would show it. So why are fans complaining about the weight? I guess it's just something to talk about. You know what I'm saying? It's something to talk about. I'm not angry about the weight. I am about the pairs he was truly masking. So just think about this. Ryan Garcia is up on the apron, chopping it up with Tank. MKB, you're mad that he was masking or tested positive, whatever the case may be. Shouldn't you just allow yourself to be relieved of that stress, that certain level of stress when you can't change it? Shouldn't you just say, okay, let me wait. Let me wait to what the punishment is going to be. Because look, if the punishment comes back, it doesn't suit the severity for which you was believing it should be, like your expectation on what the punishment should be, you're going to be even more upset that Ryan is still walking around, look like he's been eating and drinking very well. You know what I'm saying? If you heard Leonard Ellerby in the ring, he kept insinuating that Ryan looked like he's 200 pounds. But you should be reserving some of that freaking that channel energy there, MKB, because you're gonna be furious, bro. I don't want you getting hypertension, dog. I don't want you taking time off the YTC. You need to be on here, man, letting your comments be read and heard. But don't use too much energy right now. And the commission haven't came back with their final decision, bro. Relax. Let it run its course. Because I don't want you just flipping out and losing it. And they have to have you in the white padded room, dog. And PBS, hey man, y'all see MKP, Monte Key Box. Y'all see? Man, I heard, man, that the white van pulled up, man. That's what I heard, man. When that Ryan Garcia freaking decision came back, dog, you just don't know. Man, they drug him out. They had him in the jacket, dog. They put the Hannibal Lecter mask on him, dog. It was bad. Shout out to Christopher White in the building. Salute to you, Chris. How you feeling, bro? You know what I'm saying? Big salute to Chris, man. Thanks for always supporting, man. Great live, chef comeback. Appreciate you, man. Salute to you always pulling up, supporting the channel, bro. One love to you. Appreciate you, man. His daughter can't eat those belts. Tank is a prize fighter, top of the food chain. See, Key gets it. Key gets it. Like some of you cats, right? You give me an impression that you'll be working at a job for 10 years and you've been making an annual salary of what you was making when you finally hit the 2-year mark. And the other 8 years that you've been working, you received no pay increase. And you seem like you're fine with that. I don't care, man. It all work itself out. No, you seem like you're fine. You seem like you're fine. And then you get somebody like Key that's been working in the same freaking organization. And he's been there for 5 years. And he's working, he's making a higher salary than you. Only because he requested, hey, I think at this position right here, it'll be good if y'all consider me to get a pay raise or whatever. I am looking to continue to advance. That's all, no problem. You're right. We'll give you a pay raise. As in freaking Timothy want to stay there and make the same pay because the pay really don't matter. It's just all about the little sticky notes that they leave on his locker and say, hey, Timothy, you're doing great. He wants to collect the sticky pad and, they put smiley faces and emojis on. He don't want to go for what really counts. Timothy Carr is much different than Keys. You know, every now and then Timothy, if he can get up enough speed, you know, he can put his car in neutral. It can coast down into the lot, and then he has to get a couple of coworkers to help him jumpstart it. All because he's fine with making the same pay. He has no problem me getting the annual salary for freaking that amount of years. It's no more pay raises, and I've been here. I'm making the same thing I did when I put 2 year hit the 2 year mark. I have no problem with it. They still know that I hold seniority. I don't have to get paid to freaking show them. I don't have to get paid for that. They know. No, man. Tank is up here, just like Keith said. He's a prize fighter, bro. Everybody around him eats better when he's making the millions. So what are we up here talking about? All these top 15 pound for pound fighters and these belts. These belts does not come with a retirement stipend for each belt. They give you a certain percentage when you hit a certain amount of championships in your career that adds to your retirement pension. That's the only way that I would say it makes a good point of reference. They mean something. At this point in time, a belt is something that just takes up space in your room, and once you go to another division, they just the only time you get the recognition is when you go in there for a fight. But besides that, what else is it with a belt? Adrian Broner is a 4-division world champion. The only thing his belts allow him to do is if he's going in there negotiating a little bit. He's a 4-weight world champion. Adrian Broner is a future Hall of Famer. He is a 4-weight world champion. He got it early. With those 4-weight division championships, does that mean he come in at a base salary, a starting salary of $5 million, just based off the belts that he's earned? No. He's negotiating as if I was getting into the sport and going in there. He has a little bit more Wall Street to him because he has been a former multi-division world champion. But he's not getting top dollar based off his belts. He's just getting what he can get at the time of based off his previous performances of recent. They're not saying how many belts you got. I got 10. Okay, 10. Multiply that right there. I don't know. Get the last day he was in the ring. Okay, this, that, and the other. And let's get the date. When's the last championship defense he had? Okay. They're not factoring all that into an equation to say, okay, we're gonna start you off. We're gonna begin these negotiations for your next fight per what the belts you've earned, the divisions, and last time you had a championship fight, and putting this all into a formula-based freaking deductive reasoning, right? We're gonna start you off at a cool $7.5 million. That's what you rate off the back. Now you can increase that if you can present evidence to show us that you could be, in a higher figure range. So get with your attorneys. But right now, 7.5 million, that's where we at there, Broner. Oh man, that's good. Okay, cool. I'm glad I got 4 divisions. That's not the case, bro. Stop it. That's not the case. That's not the case, man. For real, don't have a heart attack, man. Wait till the punishment is rendered. Wait till they hand down if it's a punishment or not. Why is this taking so long? That should have you chilling right there, MKB. You should be like, okay, Ryan Garcia's up here bullshitting on the roast, man. Ain't nobody up here asking him nothing about the damn freaking the punishment or the ostarine or the what's going to be handed down for the damn VADA, dog. Shout out to my guy Carlos Jackson in the building. Champ is on deck. You know what I'm saying? One of the fighters down here that don't get enough credit in the A. Been on TV and got the job done. Went in there and defeated former world champions. Salute to you, man. They say if they don't give you respect, goddamn, you better take it. But man, you don't need to put in that effort, dog. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Carlos Jackson. You know what I'm saying? King Dynamite in the building. He says, shout out WCS Tank is the best 135, 40-pound fighter. Nobody beating him. Salute, man. You know what I'm saying? I agree. But Carlos, they talking about belts. They speaking about belts. You know, he's not fighting top pound for pound, but the dude making money. I know you would understand. You know what I'm saying? A person that deals with different type of damn entrepreneur business. Okay, man, what's going to extend? What's going to stretch longer? You unwrapping, unfolding a belt, or those numbers that's on a check? You put those numbers into a banking systems, they're gonna grow even further when you withdraw, invest, and that money that's based off the check you made for that one fight. I don't know where these cats are at right there, man. I don't know where they at right now. They just be talking crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? They just be talking crazy. But it's okay. You know, input is good. I'm just not gonna get in a tit for tat to waste my time, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, them belts don't matter. And the belts only go so far. They good. But look. What's lighter? If you walk into a room and your bank room, you holding two belts, one on each shoulder, and you got to continue to hold those belts and hold those belts. If the belt's so important, why they can't hold themselves up? Why can't you just damn drop them motherfuckers and they just levitate right there next to you, and everywhere you go, the belts follow you? If y'all want to say these belts are so precious, what if you know the belts was just there following you around just like the Matrix and all that virtual reality? And then in order for somebody to speak to you with your belts around you, they had to damn pay a certain fee. They paid a certain fee and they can take a picture with you or do an interview. If the belts was making you money when you was carrying them in person at these fights, I can see why the conversation may be what it is. But the checks is what matter. The checks, the currency. If they basically put a currency on each belt, and like I said, if they deemed it a part of your formula that they was gonna draft up once you hit a certain amount of years as a professional fighter and you meet the standard and criteria, and each belt had a certain percentage of pension that was applicable to your retirement plan, and they added all that together and said, okay, you're going to get this percentage for the rest of your life, then yeah, I can say, okay, go get the belts. But that's not the case. That will never be the case. That will never be the case, bro. That will never, ever be the case, bro. I'm just serious. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that. Bug on Stop Canelo said WCS cooking about those belts. I'm just saying, like, people getting mad, man. And I wouldn't want people to get mad and feel like the cause for which they was getting mad about was just pointless. But I don't want them to find that out after they've had breathing problems. You know what I'm saying? Respiratory failures. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden they have asthma. And no, you're doing all this because of Tank not fighting the competition that you want him to fight. Why though? You know what I'm saying? Boxing is so open-ended. Everybody has their hand. Like, I always use this analogy about the tree of life when it comes to boxing. There's so many branches when it comes to boxing that whoever is removing the fruit, you don't see all of it. You don't know who's eating from the tree. You don't know. Boxing is everywhere. The only ones they really pay attention to is the premier boxing promotions. That's it. And even then, the reason why these people are so dissatisfied is because these fighters are not so-called fighting the names that they want them to fight. But yet these individuals are not the ones at the table negotiating the numbers for these fighters. So I'm asking myself, why are you so concerned about the numbers? Why are you concerned about the belts? It's fighters out here right now who was previous champions. These cats want to talk about all-time greats. We have some fighters that consider all-time greats and are absolutely flat out broke. Flat out broke. Where are you all then? I don't see you all going up say, hey, this is your special day. We just want to present this check to you to get you back on your feet of $5.3 million. Now I don't know what this check is going to do. I'm just putting you in the mindset of this. When you go to the bank, you can't cash this check. We don't really have a small one for you, but we just want to get your mind back to hope. We're hoping to get boxing into a state where we can get you that. Right now, we just stopping by and we got the cameras rolling. We want to put it out there to try to influence people to give boxers, former boxers, a pension. We don't know what that's going to be at, bro. When is that ever going to happen? We don't know, man. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know when that shit going to happen. But y'all are only infatuated with this belt shit because you want to start supporting another fighter. You know what I'm saying? That's all. Tank has been able to, I wouldn't say manipulate, but circumvent certain areas that y'all feel that's in the rule books. That's all. Tank has been able to circumvent fighting and unifying divisions, and he's been able to make millions. And y'all are basically purposely leaving out the fact that he's a pay-per-view star. But you want to talk about who he ain't fighting. This man is a pay-per-view star fighting fighters that's not on your list, not on your list of popularity, but he's fighting them and getting paid millions on top of millions. So in order for you to get some type of reprieve, I would say go over here and find out how Tank is making this money and hold the sign up when he comes out and get on his sprinter and say, Tank, you ain't shit, man. You ain't fighting the big time fighters, man. And see what happened. You might say, hey, before you leave up out of here, you see that guy over there? I got you, man. Whatever happens up there, I want you to press the gas. I want you to run that bitch over. You understand? I got you. Don't worry about it. I've been getting them big checks, man. I'll make sure you get out of jail. I'll make sure you get off. You understand? But that cat right there, he talking too much. I don't know what he talking about, but make sure you, I want to see how the suspension work on this sprinter. This 2025 sprint. I want to see how the suspension work. Run that motherfucker over. Most of Ryan's subs followers don't even know he's a pro boxer. I bet they think he does misfit boxing. That's disrespectful, Toby. That's just disrespectful. But look, that's just disrespectful because I've mentioned how Ryan has 13 plus million, I think, followers, right? But yet none of them can really be a voice of reasoning when he's going through his dark side. And look, not only that, but I remember when they used to say that majority of Ryan's freaking followers over there was young tenderonis, females, them young baddies. We don't know who they are now. Because if you had that many females as your followers, I'm pretty sure there has to be a group of them that you can go online and just have a chat full of females and just be able to relieve your mind. Like Ryan be hooking up with some nice looking females. That ain't enough. That ain't enough to hook up with some. I mean, you a pretty boy making millions. I guess that life ain't the life because these niggas with money seem like they unhappy, dog. But it's all about the belts. I know it's all about the belts. Shout out to Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens in the building. What's good with it, Reggie? I see you, man. Salute. Tank draws in crowds. Canelo draws in crowds. Floyd found that out. That's why it counts. That's what counts. Yes, sir. Drop that KNOW ledge on them. No ledge. You know what I'm saying? Drop the knowledge on them, man. I thought that's what they was in here for. You know, Key comes up here and talking about prize fighting, but yet we up here talking about prize fighting is not prize fighting unless you have a belt. The belt system is all manipulation, bro. Does it have a standard, a SOP, a standard operating procedure that they go by in boxing that allows fighters to come up to? No, they manipulate and circumvent whatever they want to do to get a fighter to take this fight. Why y'all not advocating for purse bids more often? Why is that not the topic of the conversation? Oh, that's wild right there. I ain't gonna lie. That's just wild, man. What's going on? Um, James Toney is an all-time great, and every time he does an interview, people disrespect him in the comment section, laughing about the way he talks. So legacy is nice, but money is more important. And see, solid point. You know what I'm saying? Solid point you made, and that's unfortunate because James Toney, back then when he was active as a fighter, he thought he was doing what the fans wanted to see. You know, he was going there giving them excitement, being one of the toughest mofos that was out there. You know what I'm saying? Giving the fighters tough fights. But that's not enough when you give it all in a sport and there's no retirement pension, but yet you gotta try to find a way, you know, depending on where you put your money or what you invested in, if it's making dividends for you on the back end once you have retired from the sport. Well, the messed up thing about these people that's call themselves fans of the sport, they'll be the same ones in the chat laughing at how James Toney may sound the way he do, and they won't even be talking about nothing about belts. They won't be talking about how many belts he won. How they're gonna be talking about he didn't make as much money. He broke. What did you do with your money? They don't know how much he made per fight. Yeah, they'll take some of his biggest fights and they'll say, "Well, you fought so and so. How much money you make? It should have been a lot. What did you do with it? You must not do what you're supposed to." They don't know nothing. They don't know about these fighters got to pay taxes. These fighters got to pay taxes. They got to pay their team. All that. But yet, like he said, you know, he do an interview and they want to treat, you know, JT like he didn't do anything. Just because the way he sound and the way he look. That's the raw reality of these freaking these disloyal ass boxing fans, man. That is the reality of it, bro. Hold up. Hold up. Nah. Reggie up here. Reggie, where you see KQKC at, bro? Hold up. So somebody done block KQKC, man. I'm about to get rid of all my wrenches. I'm about to get rid. I know I better see him in the chat because I don't know why I don't see him in the chat. Let me see. Okay. I tried. Don't be mad now. When I start to freaking get rid of some of these mods, man, because I know damn well I should see him in the chat. I know for a fact I should. If I seen him not too long ago, now all of a sudden I don't see him in the chat. That means somebody blocked him. So what are you talking about, boxing conversations? Where's KQKC at? Where you see him at? I mean, I see Carlos Jackson. I don't see who you talking about. I don't see him nowhere in the chat, man. If you're hooking up with all these beautiful young women, then you should know that Jordan Plant is off limits and going to get a big slap like Jamal. So that's what that was about. Okay, because you know, I just felt it was a bad look for Caleb to even be in a situation. Look. This is my thing. I try, you know, this is only me. When you basically have ties, so to speak, with the woman that's in Just like in the military, when you have a nice looking woman that's around a collective group um of numbers. I'm talking about those numbers of men. When you decide to make that commitment, being in a bonded relationship, your trust and loyalty has to be with her to basically brush all that other advances off. Those individuals are really trying to get with your girl. You need to be fully aware that I don't need to go out here and throw water on somebody just because they was disrespecting me by trying to talk to my girl. That's his wife. If that was about, that makes no sense, man. You can't fight everybody that's gonna try to go. Your lady is employed. She's on TV. She has a job that can continue once Caleb stopped boxing. She can continue to make money and money. What's gonna happen when you ain't there? You gonna go there and try to make sure Jordan is not talking? No, bro. You have to have confidence and assurance that she's gonna always hold you down from afar. Hey, it ain't nobody gonna be able to come and tell you, baby, that I did anything with him. I trust and believe that. The love is love. You know what I'm saying? He can't go over there getting into it with Ryan Garcia if he's trying to be disrespectful. It's crazy how, if that is indeed the case, please put it in there, because KQC, let's prospect like that. Hold on for a second. But I'm not sure what that situation was, but I'm just putting it out there like, if Ryan is going to be trying to be disrespectful with Caleb Plant, Caleb should understand that he just can't. I seen him throw water on somebody, and then bro, you was on the floor, man. Come on, that's, man. No, man. You too good for that, man. Look at the rise. Look at your lifestyle and the way you're living. You doing better than the average, bro. If Ryan Garcia like touched your girl inappropriately, that's different. If he cornered her or something against her will, then I can see why you can give him that Charlo work. But I don't know why these dudes try to find Caleb Plant freaking easy work, man. I don't know, man. Caleb is not on that time, dog. Caleb is not on that time. Caleb will slap the motherfucking the taste and freaking smell. Just ask Jamal Charlo. He made Jamal Charlo rethink his freaking advancement after that. And see, should I go after him? Should I not? Should I? Should I? Should I? No, I'm just gonna stay up here. I'm gonna talk to myself a little bit, act like I'm doing something. No, I ain't messing with that nigga. Damn, he slapped the shit out of me. Damn, I was just about to eat too. I ain't gonna be able to taste my food. Al Money on deck. What's good with Al Money? Salute to you, brother. But I don't know. I do. Should understand there's weight classes for a reason. And him going up there fucking with Caleb. Caleb gonna goddamn, give him that damn super middleweight, light heavyweight, cruiserweight, bridgerweight. He gonna give him that freaking thunder, bro. You messing with that man's wife or trying to disrespect him, man, that's bad, bro. Now you get into some personal shit. Then you get into some personal shit, man. But hey, them cats, man, I don't know what to tell them. They play with fire, bro. But hey, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF game, man. A-Side official. No negotiation needed. Appreciate y'all for pulling up as always. Somebody get Timothy a freaking ball of Tampax and tell him to wipe his tears with him. You know what I'm saying? Because he was all over here acting like, you know what I'm saying? It's done been more than a week. Something's wrong. I was like, hey, brother, go to the doctor if you're still spotting. Until next time, man, y'all hold.